there is something that throughout kind of just movies in general has very much annoyed me is just like how synonymous it is the relationship between like prostitutes in movies and being murdered, as if like there are
what are you talking about though? Look at real life.
I know, but
real life is a connection.
But there is, up until this movie doesn't do it, but there's almost like a normalization in media of prostitutes being murdered, and there are several.
There's a normalization in real life of prostitutes getting murdered. That's the problem. That's the problem. Look at the statistics.
And that is the problem, but I'm saying that maybe if there wasn't so much media and so many TVs and movies that make jokes about how often prostitutes are murdered, then maybe people would not take it as lightly in real life.
But that's the whole argument of, I mean, you're making like the most conservative 80s argument of all time.
No,
that's like the video games cause school shootings argument.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there's a normalization of it. That you're kind of the idea of you're putting it in people's head constantly of, well, of course she was murdered, she was a prostitute, which it shouldn't be that way, and people should not normalize it.
I don't disagree with that. I just think like I don't think that movies or media is the culprit. I think it's a much deeper culprit, you know, that's kind of ingrained in our society for generations of, you know, and it goes into, you know, shame about sex to misogyny to
I agree that
just a whole
I agree that that's not where it started, but it does help to normalize things, which is a problem.
Maybe, but then again, you could say that about a million things. You know, it's like you could say that about like any type of movie where there's any violence. I'm just saying that's an argument that gets made all the time, and it's generally against like artists, and it's like, well, you're worried about art, but what are you changing in real fucking society? You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway.
Well, and there is also just there's kind of what you're talking about of like it goes back like generational. There is kind of like a theme of seeing women as less than and seeing promiscuous women as being less than.
Of course.
And that they are not worth our time. And also like just Marie being a woman, going into a precinct that's predominantly men and trying to demand them to do their job and them at first not taking her seriously is a very much of just like a man not taking women seriously and brushing women off forever and saying like, oh, this is just a hysterical woman, this is just some crazy woman who's going in and knocking on people's door, and not, this is a mother whose daughter is missing,
of course,
who has every right to be angry. I
mean, that gets to the core of the Long Island serial killer case, essentially. You know, there was when Shannon was eventually, her body was discovered, I think the cause of death was listed as misadventure, which sounds like this like medieval kind of, and I'm not the first person to point this out, but it sounds like this medieval sort of like just how out of touch, like what she died of misadventure. Like, what does that even fucking mean? Like, she was a wild woman and she went out on the town and next thing you know, she died of misadventure. Like, that's not a thing, guy.
That's the first I've heard that.
Oh yeah.
So that was the original cause of death.
Misadventure.
That's insane.
Insane. And then you have our pal. He's not our pal. Peter Hackett. Which
I want to talk about Peter. You say your thing, but I want to talk about Peter Hackett. I'm just saying,
as far as like ridiculous kind of like notions of like hysterical women go, I believe it has been confirmed, and he denied it, but it's been confirmed through phone records, I think, that he placed a phone call to Mary Gilbert while Shannon was missing and said that he ran a home for wayward girls.
Wasn't it the next day?
Yeah, it might have been the day.
In the movie, they say it's the next day. In real life, maybe not.
No, I mean, I think it was a matter of a couple days. I don't think it was, it was around that time. But anyway, like, again, what does that mean? Wayward girls? Like, it sounds like the fucking Salem witch trials or something,
Yeah.